What's poppin', guys? Gar Champion here, and today we're going to be breaking down Haumea from Fire Force because I'm going to be getting her tattooed here on my inner bicep here soon. So in order to get myself even more hyped up for this, I decided to make this video, breaking down her character, her abilities, and all that fun stuff. Depending on when this video gets finished, I'll either post a link to the short that I make post-tattoo for this, or I'll include images after it's done if this video doesn't get done in time. So stick around regardless, since you clicked on this video for a reason. So let's take a deep dive into Haumea of Fire Force. She first appeared in episode 23 after Shinra and Sho go head-to-head in combat. When they are having a moment, Sho stabs Shinra through the chest all of a sudden, and then Haumea appears out of nowhere. She basically is goofing around, giving them info on their dark plans, shows off her sinister, goofy smile, and then gets down to business as backup arrives from the 8th, including Arthur. Just before this, she uses her electricity to control Sho and then tried to use it on Arthur, but it was ineffective because he is a plasma user. This completely pisses her off and shuts down Maki's projectiles, and bullets repel away from her. An earthquake happens and she escapes with Sho. That is quite the entrance and a lot of info to digest here. Off rip, we know she's working with the Evangelist, can do the following with her electric abilities: control people, shut down electronics, repel bullets. We learn her weaknesses as well, which are plasma users such as Arthur, and we know that there are very few of them stated by her in her own anger. She's very silly when unbothered, skipping around and poking fun, but when agitated, loses control of her emotions and goes haywire. The crown on her head also makes her interesting because what is its purpose and why is she wearing it? It's a very unique look. I'm personally drawn to characters with cool introductions because they leave a good first impression on me, and I'm more likely to be drawn to that character throughout the series. Let's start from the beginning of Haumea's story. From the moment she was born, she was able to hear humanity's darkest thoughts with no control over. She was able to stay pure at heart for the first 10 years of her life, but once she developed her Adola burst, the mental strain became unbearable and led her to becoming violent after hearing everyone's bad thoughts non-stop. Charon stated that she was born to represent the female sainthood, having the empathy towards people's wickedness, and is the only reason she can handle the onslaught of negativity, absorbing humanity's evil. There was a ceremony held where she was on the throne and a crown was placed on her head. From that day onward, her eyes were shut and to never open until the promised day. They don't give a specific age when this was done, but she is depicted as a little girl, and we can assume that she is no older than 5, and I'll elaborate on that detail later on. It was revealed in episode 19 of season 3 that Charon let Haumea take her aggression out on him from a very young age, and this helps her calm down and not break from insanity. This is even done in the current time as well. I guess now would be a good time to state that he is her guardian, as she is the second pillar. To cover this briefly, there are 8 pillars that can lead humanity to the Great Cataclysm. There are people that possess Adola bursts, which are basically powers that connect you to the Adola dimension and grant you power through the Evangelist. She's a 3rd generation pyrokinetic user, which means that they can generate their own fire. But she uses electricity. In physics, fire is a form of plasma, and plasma is electrically conductive. She basically uses this heat-generated waves, and that's her power. Regarding her weakness to plasma users, since they jam her signal, I'm not a physics guy. So if anyone is watching this and is, let me know why in the comments below. We would all like to know. She uses this electricity to attack a person's nervous system and can read their thoughts and feelings. This ability is called Talking Head. She can also use this electricity to shut down electrical equipment and control them. Radio Head is what she calls her ability to communicate with anyone she chooses, and can communicate from a distance and is basically a mental walkie-talkie. Very useful for battle purposes. She can summon and control demon infernals to an extent, which played a huge role as she used Shinra and Sho's mother to take Sho away, as he is the 3rd pillar. She was shown to have this ability from a young age because she was 5 years old when she used this power, and she was shown with her crown on. Therefore, the ceremony was done prior of this event. She also basically becomes a god and rewrites the universe, but I'll go over those details in a little bit. She's been by the Evangelist's side her entire life, but there's been someone else who is really important to her that was by her side most of her life as well: Charon, her guardian. As a pillar, each one has a guardian whose main goal is to protect them at all costs. It was stated that he was 17 and Haumea was 5 when they took Sho, so there was a 12-year age difference between the two. He takes physical beatings to maintain her sanity and cares for her like no one else. There was a flashback where he was taking a beating from her, and while she was calming down, she asked him how he really felt about her and challenged her to read his mind. Unconditional love is what she saw, and she did not know how to respond to that, so she just rolled over. The death of the person she was closest to, the one who tried to discipline her, show care and empathy for, and loved her for who she was. This broke her. She cried profusely, and the world of Adola and Earth began to merge, implying that her eyes had been opened for the first time since the crown was placed on her head. It was the promised day. One thing I found interesting about Charon before we go into further topics is the fact that he has a mask over his eyes. I tried to look into that detail and the only thing I could find was the fact that it was harmful for him to see the evangelist and then for religious purposes. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me because I can't recall any other characters doing the same, other than the evangelist himself and Giovanni. The evangelist makes sense because it's a godly figure, that's how they are normally represented in media. Giovanni makes sense to me because he's wearing a mask for evil doctor vibes, not religious vibes. The connection can be drawn for anyone who has their face covered for religious reasons are related to Haumea in an important way. Charon as her protector, and she became one with the evangelist and became the most powerful being in the universe. I guess it's about time to cover that little detail. She fused with the evangelist, became the strongest being in the universe, and proceeded to rewrite the universe itself. Yeah, that about covers it. She absorbed 4 of the pillars and gained their powers: Inca, Iris, Sumir, and Amaterasu. She was able to avoid taking damage from Inca's ability to redirect fate. Sumir's ability allowed her to create powerful shockwaves. Amaterasu had a massive Adola burst energy, which allowed her to pull off massive explosions. Lastly, Iris's powers allowed her to trigger despair and manipulate the holy flames. Previously in her non-god form, she was weak to plasma users like Arthur. So what would this despair goddess be weak to? Hope. She lost to Shinra's god form, which was a combination of fusing Shinra, Sho, and their demon infernal mother together, and this allowed them to defeat Haumea and rewrite the new universe. In doing so, Haumea had a second chance at a new life, and one without hearing the world's despair, and one with Charon in it too. And that face reveal after not choosing a life full of despair was so precious and cute. Those eyes were as pleasant as anime eyes could be. It was a great ending for her character. I would say a great ending for the series, but it carries on into Soul Eater. So the story doesn't technically end here. That just about wraps up my breakdown for Haumea. But the video does not end here. I wanted to briefly describe the reason that I'm going to get her tattooed on my body for the rest of my life. I have a little meaning behind every tattoo I get. The one on my chest is a promise to myself that I will never do what was done to me in a previous relationship. My Pokemon tattoos are the pre-evolutions to my favorite Pokemon. The arrow has connection to my grandfather. Shinobu is my favorite anime character, but also represents a specific shift in my life that I will elaborate on in detail here on YouTube. So Haumea. The crown she wears represents her despair and suffering, being blind to what's on the other side. The message I get from this and her character development is that you can always change your path in life. Diving into the realm of unknown, change can be scary. People or circumstances may be binding you to one place, but that does not have to be your path. When Haumea chooses a life with no despair, she can live her life as she pleases and be happy. When she goes against despair, she's protected by those around her who truly care for her. It's okay to take risks and choose a different path in life. That's why I enjoy her character enough to get her tattoo done. So I'll link my tattoo artist info in the description below. So make sure you check out his Insta and his website. Possibly buy yourself some cool anime merch. You deserve it. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day. Peace out.